You got your drink ready? It's live, Joe. We are live. Welcome to Tequila Talk with Joe Walsh, wonderful former congressman, and myself, not nearly as cool, but still Cliff Schechter.
Cliff, good to see you. You're very cool. You're more cool than I am, and you are a fighter, and that's first and foremost why I have fallen in love with you.
Same here, man. Same here. You seriously, I can tell from the beginning, you hit hard. And you know when to. Man, I've seen you. I catch you, and I'll tell people this who don't know. You follow Joe, subscribe to Joe. You know what you get in addition to like fiery Joe Walsh ripping people who suck to shreds. But here and there, he'll like restack somebody's picture of a beautiful sunrise or like a cute puppy. Or Joe is not, down deep. There's a little boy still who's in there trying to get at. No, in all seriousness,
fuck that.
I know that, but you're not. You can say you're not a good dude. You're a good dude.
Cliff, thank you. As you sip that tequila, I need to do that every now and then on social media. Just post something that's not day-to-day stupidity. Do you do that? Or let me rephrase it. Your kids are still younger, way younger than mine. Like, how do you escape every week a little bit from the stupid fucking shit?
Well, on there. We've got cats who I love. So I'll put up some of those guys' pictures. Interesting things in the neighborhood I'm a fan and things I'm a fan of. I love rock and roll. I'll get some pictures of that. I love what do you call it? What do you call it? I love baseball. So, sometimes something to do with that. I love that we lost to Italy, which is hilarious, by the way, in the international baseball. They're like, hey, come on, what you doing? And then they beat us. I could do that. I've got my Sicilian hat on because of my
Have you always been a Reds fan?
No, I literally grew up.
Yankees, right?
Yeah, my dad grew up in the Bronx, like blocks from the stadium.
Okay.
And by the time I was born, my parents were living in Manhattan. But like that was a shrine. Like he'd take me up there. I remember the day, and it was here in Ohio, of course, damn it, that Thurman Munson died. In 1979, I was 7 years old, crying my eyes out. I remember my earliest memories are either like Star Wars or the Yankees World Series or that. Like Reggie hitting 3 in 77. Yeah. I was 5, and I remember that. So cool. I find, and right now I find there's so much good streaming stuff that I can find that, like, I just watched Black Rabbit. Oh my God, do I love that show? Oh, I mean, did you watch that?
No, I have not yet heard about it. Can I tell you something funny, my Mr. Political Brain?
Yes, sir.
And let me finish this and don't interrupt me with a laugh. I had never heard of the show Veep. I was in Congress. I was doing my thing. Had never heard of the show. My wife and I, a month and a half ago, started binging it. Oh my fucking God, Cliff. I love Veep. Whoa.
To me, the writing's really good, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus is
fantastic.
She never got the credit she deserved for Seinfeld, where, she's hilarious on that. We talk about the men on there. I think she's funnier than, Jason Alexander is pretty hilarious just because he would show every bad quality a man has, which I love. But in any case, no, I think that's a great idea. So I'd heard of this, but think about what I do too. And a show I'd never watched. And I haven't binged it as crazy as you have yours, but Scandal. I'd never watched Scandal. I'm like, I should really watch that considering like that wasn't fully my job, but on campaigns, like there were aspects of it. I did have moral boundaries I wouldn't cross. That's
cool. Hey, I want to, and I know you have this is the magic of the Joe and Cliff Tequila Talk. Oops, tequila, we got a sip.
I know. Right? There you go. Right.
Cliff, by the way, Inside Baseball, everybody who's listening right now, come on in. Cliff is the captain of this train, and he spends days on an elaborate show plan. Boom, 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 down to the minute. And then he and I get together. We just fucking go off on a totally different tangent. Before we get into
the second part of that was right. The first part of that, like, I don't know if you went to that planet in Interstellar where like a minute was like 3 days, but I don't put a minute into it, but I put a half hour, 40 minutes into it. Like it just, cause I still want it. I like it to be a guideline. I can take a look at it right now and say, welcome to Tequila Talk with Joe Walsh and Cliff Schechter, and also say, you know what they say? Tequila's cheaper than therapy.
Love that. Love
We're
that.
making those shirts. We're going to make all that merch because tequila is cheaper than therapy.
I want to get your thought on one big picture question before we move to the show.
Yeah.
I got a guy who was a big supporter of mine, and we were talking about post-Trump, and he was talking about potential candidates running for president. And I said, oh, he can't or she can't. They got
on the Republican side or Democratic or both?
Both. And he gave me a couple names, and I said, no way. He's got skeletons in his closet. She's got skeletons in his closet. And he said that Trump was a one-off. Like my thesis, Cliff, was post-Trump, it doesn't matter if a candidate has skeletons in the closet because that guy just busted that rule and broke through that wall. But this guy, the guy I was talking to, Cliff, said, no, Trump's a one-off. He's Teflon. We're not going to live in a post-Trump era where everybody now can be a liar, a cheat, a corrupt,
right.
blah, blah, blah. What's your thought on that?
I'm of two minds. I'm not trying to be like, oh, both sides, but I do think there's two truths. One, he's no doubt in general lowered the bar a lot. Completely. And you've seen that, right? Like candidates, and I don't have a problem with this, by the way, but candidates cursing, good, fuck, I like that. Candidates acting in a more casual way. Like, the bar has been so lowered that this asshole wore a hat when the dead troops bodies were coming in at Dover Airport. Here, as I sit here wearing a hat, but this is Tequila Talk, a little different.
Yeah.
That dignified. I mean, I'm sorry. There are times where you just need to dress up for the occasion. When you sent people to their death for your stupid war, you can take the fucking hat off and comb your hair or whatever that crap is that you call hair. Okay, so he's going to lower the bar, I think, in cultural ways. We've become much more culturally trashy, like low class, willing to play his game, insult each other on like Twitter and some stupid post. Like,
but could a candidate with his background, he's a serial adulterer. At least 24 women have credibly accused him of harassment, rape, sexual assault. Could another candidate with that history run for president in 2020?
So here's the second part of my answer. The first part is the bar has been lowered where I think everybody can get away with more, not close to what Trump.
Okay.
Trump has, again, and I don't get it, but he has charisma. He gets this unique charisma that cults form around him. He's willing to say anything and whatever, but it's not just that he's willing to say anything. Ted Cruz is willing to say anything. Elon Musk is willing to say anything. Tom Cotton is willing to say, their personalities are shit. Like, they're just not likable people. They're not funny. They're not interesting. Trump makes these jokes and he's usually punching down, and I don't enjoy them, but it makes people laugh. Like, when he gets up on stage, he riffs, he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's got this, I call it like right-wing charisma that the combination of that and a lot of conservative dominance of media and the cultural landscape, I think, allowed him to sneak through. Remember, he still lost the popular vote the first time.
Is he a one-off when it comes to skeletons in the closet?
So, okay, that's a simple answer. I think he's a one-off unless within 100 years or 50 years, there's something exactly like Trump again. Right now, it's not like I've seen every state rep who's Republican. There's not one Republican I look at who could pull off anything like him.
Cliff, I'm not just talking Republicans. Could a Democrat run for president in 2028 who is a pathological liar? Yes or no?
Yes. Could they? Really? I don't think they could have the same issues Trump has, because the Democratic Party cares about different things. But let's say you're a pathological liar and what you're saying are things that Democrats like.
Would the Democrats nominate a pathological liar? Because my former party had no problem doing it.
I don't think they would, but I think that with people that are willing to talk, and sound like they're talking plain, like populists, people are tired of the DNC. They're tired of the weak leadership. They're tired of all of this kind of stuff. You wrote something, and we were going to talk about it maybe this show, about Graham Plattner. That's why he's done so well. That's why Mamdani did so well. I mean, this has been shown in different places by different people. It's why Sherrod Brown's always done well.
I agree with all that. We want fighters. I'm a fighter. You're a fighter.
Yeah.
I get all that. But
I don't think a pathological liar, right? Like, let's put it this way. I think what's his name who came close, Andrew Yang. I think he's a pathological liar. I've heard him change his positions on people, issues. I don't know the guy ever had any core. He just kind of ran because it was there. I think very seriously he could be a pathological
It's part
liar.
of what I worry about, by the way, with Gavin Newsom, because I don't know who or what he is.
Yeah, the Israel apartheid comment, and then right, which is again, whatever people think of Israel, it's actually honestly like objectively not true. You can say whatever you want. I hate Bibi Netanyahu, and he should be in The Hague, but Israel, an apartheid state, has a very specific. It's separate races. One race can't go with the other or do what the other race does. There's a Palestinian Supreme Court justice. There are Palestinians in the Knesset. There was a Palestinian IDF
Gavin
general.
Newsom said that last week because he wants to run for president and he knows where the party is. That's scary to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I've always found him to be too slick for my taste. I've never loved him. What I enjoyed that he started sort of a lot of that mockery or continued what Kamala Harris had already been doing very well and showed other Democrats the way that mockery is so much of this. You don't even have to be mean. You don't even be nasty to mock these people. And psychological warfare is a key part of politics that Democrats often don't get. But my God, with Trump, it's even more important because he's so insecure that you can get to him so easily and knock him off his game. And so the mocking part I've liked, but overall with Newsom, I have my issues.
All right, we've gotten astray. Get back to your show. Let's go back to your show.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Today? Well,
because we have a guest today too in a little bit.
Yeah, we got Mike Madrid coming up, who I've never met him. Like I've met
that's
almost
weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
I love Mike.
So let's see. We introduced the show. We did that. Whatever we say, whatever comes to mind. Done that too.
We do that all the time.
We can't introduce Mike yet. So what we could do is we can start talking about. Well, I'd said we should first of all mention our tequila. I chose.
What do you got?
And I hope I pronounce it right. Sauza Gold. Sauza. I don't speak Spanish. You powerful and say I'm sorry. And I chose it because Donald Trump's office is a gauche display of gold and ridiculousness. But this week he added black gold, as you may know it, to that oil. To which, see, the gold connection, we make the connection, and that's where we're going to go and talk about what's going on in Iran, because this asshole literally had no plan for who'd take over next. Oops, the son. He had no plan for what he would do for regional stability when you've got the Taliban on one side and Iraq and chaos on the other. He didn't obviously do it constitutionally, so he broke
illegal
law, so it's illegal, right? They've committed war crimes, numerous of them. They're blaming AI for how they blew up a school with 165 schoolgirls in it, 7 to 12, and I don't care what that makes me sick. And that's worth another conversation, folks. That ChatGPT is helping the war effort switch to Anthropic. But okay, but like this thing they did, David Schuster just wrote this great piece about it where they sunk this frigate ship.
Yeah,
it was 2,000 fucking miles from Iran. It was near Sri Lanka. It was nowhere close to even what they're calling the battle zone. So we start this war, we start bombing, and we do this peaceful ship that wasn't at war goes to like some collaboration near India, and it was like an international festival of celebration. These men are on the way back, and this is the way I like to put it so people can think about it. They have no way of knowing at that very moment while they're going through the Indian Ocean, and they're thousands of miles away from their homeland, that they are about to have their boat torn to shreds by a torpedo, which we haven't used since 1945, that they themselves will either be torn to shreds, burned by oil fires, largely will drown, and all because Pete Hegseth fucking felt like it. No reason to do this to these guys. No reason.
I love, because I'm not a detail guy, I love to post and say shit that's like 30,000 point view, 30,000 foot above the clouds view. This is what the world looks like right now, with a pathologically dishonest, sociopathic, deranged madman as the leader of the most powerful country in the world. I mean, this is what the world looks like. It's utter
people just
chaos.
like him, below him, like Hegseth, willing to, too.
Yeah, and he's extending his chaos and danger around the globe now. You nailed it. We still don't know why he launched a war. We still don't know what we're doing. We still don't know what the end game is. And by the way, again, Cliff, I'm a little older than you. In my lifetime,
Not as much as you think, dude.
I've never had an American president in my lifetime send this country to war and not fucking get in front of the American people and say, here's why. Here's why.
Not even a slight explanation. Just
None.
nothing. I am your king, and I do not deign.
Well, that's it, Cliff. That's it. In a way, you almost can't blame him, because my former party has trained him like a SEAL to believe he can do whatever he wants. By the way,
and maybe I have to say quickly, you know what? I can't blame him either, because your current party and my party's leadership has trained him like a SEAL too. They're not as bad. I'm not saying there's bad, but what repercussions does he fear from Schumer or Jeffries on anything?
None. And yeah. So of course he'd think he can do whatever he wants. We don't have a Congress.
Nope.
The Justice Department is his personal law firm.
Don't have a judiciary, or at least a Supreme Court.
Yeah, of course he can think he can do whatever he wants. I almost don't blame him.
Yeah. I mean, but I almost don't blame him for the doing whatever he wants. It's in the deeds. I would do all sorts of crazy shit. I probably just would start blaring Guns N' Roses out of the White House 24 hours a day, But drinking tequila all day and night, like I'd pull, some of that action, Chester Arthur kind of shit. But he was a drunk. It's all good.
Yes.
Nice, good lamb chops too.
Yes.
But but the thing is, again, it's like with the little girls at that school. It's like with the people murdered by ICE. The human side of it. I mean, when I think about those sailors who were not, nobody knows for even the slightest fact, they supported the regime in power. They may have been forced to join the military. They're just doing their jobs, these 130 something plus men, and he mass murdered them for fun. And the thought doesn't even go through his head.
Well,
these are 130 men that might have wives, children, future dreams, lives. Maybe they support democracy for all you know, which he doesn't.
Yeah. Agreed.
And they're dead now. They're murdered. And that is just insane.
Completely. And before we bring Mike Madrid in, I agree completely. We know Trump lies about everything. We know he lies as he breathes. So no lie should shock us. But Cliff, he's been lying about dead school children for the last week or so. Literally lying about, and I get pissed off because I deal with Trump supporters every day. And if I had $1 for every time a guy told me, Joe, he's a real guy, he's a tough guy. Donald Trump's the fucking opposite.
He's a real guy.
He's a real man.
He's a chubby, bone-spurred fucking wimp. I mean,
hey, Cliff, when you fuck up and do something wrong, what do?
I actually, honestly, go out of my way, and maybe too far sometimes, I think. And I think I'm being honest here to try to say this is on me.
Amen.
Even stuff that's not on me, because the captain of his ship, to use a phrase, I mean, I've fucked up plenty of things.
A real man doesn't lie. And when a real man fucks up, a real man takes accountability for his fuck up. We, this great, good, decent country, unintentionally, accidentally bombed a schoolhouse in Iran. A real man would have said what you and I just said. War sucks. We never target innocent civilians intentionally, but we did it. It's on us. I'm sad. I'm horrified that it happened. We own it. That's what a real man would do.
I think it strikes you as the kind of thing like Obama would have come out and had tears, maybe Biden too would have come out. Hell, George W. Bush, it strikes me as the kind of thing that would have come out teary-eyed over this.
You know what?
Like Trump, it's nothing. It's just
you make a great point. You make a great point. You and I could rattle off every Democrat and Republican president in history, and they would have reacted like a normal president, a normal human being.
We can also rattle on Mike Madrid if we'd like, because he's here.
Is he here? Is Mike Madrid here?
Yes. I mean, I don't know.
You're like the captain of the ship. But I'm
going to let him in unless you tell me not to.
No, bring him in. I want to give him an introduction.
There he is. There's Mike Madrid.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Cliff, can I introduce Mike Madrid, please?
Oh, of course.
Because I adore Mike Madrid. You shut up, Mike Madrid. Let me say what I'm going to say. Cliff, I adore him. He is the smartest political mind I know. Every time I speak with him or read what he writes, I fucking learn so much. And you may not know this, Cliff. And by the way, everybody should be following and subscribing to Mike Madrid. You'll get smarter. Cliff.
I will agree with that 100%, by the way.
I think you might know this, Cliff. He's also an authority on tequila, and he's writing a book about tequila.
I mean, if I could ever like a man more, welcome, Mike.
That's the best introduction and welcome I've ever
I just was surprised that I mean, this business is so ridiculous, and I've lived in I don't know how many places, but when it came to sort of a lot of you guys, Lincoln Project guys, other Never Trump guys, whatever. I knew most of you, having written ads for Biden. Well, you already left him in 20, but having done stuff for Bloomberg on an issue that Joe's passionate about, which is gun safety and taking guns out of people's hands.
You're such a jerk.
I just ended up coming across so many of you folks, and the fact that you and I have never crossed paths is just so strange to me. So it's great to meet you. I know your work. I know I've seen what you've done, and obviously, when it comes to your analyses of the Latino vote, I read them.
Yeah. He's the expert on the Latino and Hispanic vote. He's generally an expert on all things political, which is Michael Madrid, where I want to start you. I'm going to ask you.
So good. Keep going. No,
right. Just have Cliff and I talking the whole show about Mike Madrid.
We see lots of nice things about people who are non-MAGA. That's our rule.
But the difference, Mike, is because I come from MAGA, I do not go after MAGA voters like my friend Cliff does.
But they're fucking morons.
Stop,
I'm kidding.
Stop.
I did that for a joke. What I say for my soul is MAGA electeds, I fucking rip to shreds, and MAGA voters, I really, really try not to, and I fail sometimes.
Stop. You fail all the time.
Okay, that's true.
Michael Madrid, I want to start with a big picture question. Here we are. It's March 12th. 2026. We're how many months out from the midterm? Give us, Cliff and I, and everybody listening right now, top of mind, what's the most important, interesting political story, trend, something to watch right now this midterm year? Grab one.
I've been doing this a long time, and I know I wish I could give you a short answer, but I'm going to keep this very brief.
Is it Corey Lewandowski losing his job or no?
Josh.
Okay. Corey will find he always lands well in MAGA world.
Yes, he does.
Not worried about Corey. Yeah, literally. I have never seen the fundamentals of a race, of a campaign environment developing so strongly against a party as I have seen at this moment.
Ever.
I mean, you could say 1994 was brewing right against the Democrats. I was a very young consultant at the time, and so I didn't have the breadth and experience that I do now as an old guy. And you could probably see that coming. But again, the Democrats had held the House for 40 years. Nobody was expecting this real wave transition.
There's so much arrogance at that point.
Yeah, this now is something fundamentally different. It's like the 2018 cycle, Trump's first midterms were really bad. The fundamentals were not good at all. But now you have a really bad and getting worse economy. Remember, 2018, the Republicans lose like 40 seats. That's when we first started using the term blue wave. And the economy was really good. Like now the economy is like really, really bad. And we just stepped into this morass in the Middle East.
And there was no Epstein thing going on.
And Epstein, like it's bad. Like I've never seen it sucking down this bad. The political swamp, the mud is just, they're up to their eyeballs, and they don't know. They know it's going to be bad, but they can't like acknowledge it. That hiccup comment that John.
Hey, Mike, before Cliff jumps in, one more quickie follow-up. Yeah. Not that I care, but I do care. Is there anything that party that has all the fundamentals against them can do in the next 7-8 months?
Well, 7-8 months, again, blah, 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 long time, right? And all of that. But like, that's what we look right now. The horse race polls it shouldn't be telling us a lot. The generic ballot doesn't tell us as much as it used to, but guys, it's like, I've never seen
crazy, isn't it?
You could be at a Dem plus 12 environment. Like the Hispanic vote shifted 50 points in Georgia.
That's something I want to talk to you about in a little bit.
I've never even heard of that. Like I keep telling people I've never seen Cuban Republicans voting with Dominican Republicans
in the Miami, right?
In Miami race, and then you look at the New York City race, and then New Jersey and Manassas, Virginia, and California and Texas. I've never seen, as somebody who's been watching the Latino vote this closely, all of them moving in the same direction. And the reason why I've never seen it is because it has never happened, and it's happening right now.
Which is amazing. I mean, so I just was going to say, I'm not obviously an expert in Latino voting patterns, but overall, I got my career started at 2 polling firms and understand the fundamentals of polling pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to echo, so I can't speak specifically, but I've seen it, not just Latino vote, young men who voted for him have just, 30, 40, 50 point changes. Like, it's insane. And the only thing I can think of, and again, this is before we had the kinds of accurate numbers and whatever I can think of, is like 1930. Like, the system is breaking down to such a point that people who have thought of themselves as part of like the inside structure, the ones who thought, I'm okay, farmers, ranchers, like these people who thought through other things they were going to be okay, are now like, like you think of the Dust Bowl and everything, they're all just like, we are completely fucked. And they're willing to join with whoever is not for Trump, the hippies on the left, or the people in the middle, or the suburbanites who make $500,000 a year but can't afford childcare or can't afford college for their kids. Like, it's just, it's all going in that direction. So I don't know what's going to happen, but if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries can either A, learn how to message between now and then, or B, step out of the way, please, for people that know how. I honestly believe you could be looking at like an 80 seat up. I really do. We would have to run the exact contrasting messaging and run a brilliant campaign. But I could see it if we did.
Michael, respond to that.
Yeah, look, 80 seats.
That's almost impossible today.
Yeah, I love
it's very hard.
But what you're saying is essentially correct, which is everybody's modeling for like a Democrat plus 3 or 4 environment, right? And they're looking at the generic ballot saying, oh, it's Democrats plus 3 plus 4. Guys, there hasn't been a fucking election since the guy became president where it hasn't been a D plus 15 environment. Like, the polls, no one's weighting the polls to look at Democratic enthusiasm and Republican support levels. That's why the polls were off 12 points in New Jersey. That's why they were off 10 points in Virginia. That's why nobody was predicting the loss of a Latino male Republican to a white progressive woman in Miami. That's why you saw 50-point swings in these districts in Georgia and on and on and on. Like, everywhere, it's like no one is capturing the intensity of the moment. So you might be right. I
did look at numbers. The only thing I want to say there, and again, doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? This is so many things can change, happen, whatever. But what I looked at is exactly what you're talking about, Mike, which is everything up to a plus 15 Republican seat. Now, obviously, you're not going to win every one of them. Some of them will have bad candidates. Some Democrats will find ways to suck. A few, maybe 2 or 3 could find a way to suck and lose.
Sure.
But when I did that, I don't think it was 80. I feel like it was 77 or 78.
Yeah.
So that's where I came up with that.
I got elected in 2010. The Tea Party wave, we increased 62 seats in the House.
That was a different redistricting. The gerrymandering this last cycle was bad. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's very few gerrymandered seats. Like, we're squeezing out the last few.
Right.
The Republicans got aggressive in Texas. California gets even more ridiculous, and with Prop 50,
right?
But there's like nothing left to kind of squeeze out. There aren't that many competitive seats anymore.
What I want to know from you, Mike, because you're a pro at this, like at least from, and you hear things and you don't know whether I haven't looked at numbers, but the way I'd heard it is this redistricting in Texas was based on their newfound love of Latino voters and they were concentrating, they were counting on that. So have they really redistricted it as much as they thought they did?
No, it's a dummy mander. It's not a gerrymander, right? Look, three of the 5 new seats are Hispanic majority.
I don't think that's going to work well for them.
No, it's like, how do you like, and I was saying, like, when they're first doing it, what a bunch of idiots, like, believing your own press releases that much. Somebody's in the room, some map maker somewhere should have said, guys, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here. But, and also to your point, Cliff, like, there's a huge overlap between the under 30, this young male vote, and the young Latino male vote, because people under 30 are increasingly not, white. They're increasingly Latino. So a lot of it's the same demographic. So
Right.
you've got to look at it kind of that way too, is all of this is moving in a certain direction. And the Republicans, I think that's why, I really think that's why Johnson called it a hiccup, is because there's this realization that they believed their own bullshit, that there was a racial realignment. And, Patrick Ruffini wrote a book, and he's a GOP pollster, pretty well, recognized and respected. And by the way, I kudos to his book. I'm a data nerd. I agree with all of the data that he put out. His book came out, same publisher, Simon & Schuster, a few months before mine did. But my conclusion was very different. His was like, this is a new Republican realignment. There's a new multiracial Republican coalition. I was like, there's no evidence saying that these people are becoming more Republican. They're becoming more Democrat. They're not with the Democratic Party anymore. That's a foundational difference. And so the only swing voter left in America are Latinos. They're the only ones that are moving with this massive swing, and no one's seeing that for what it is, because that's determining Tallarico versus Crockett, the Georgia election, the Texas special election, the Miami mayor's race, the New Jersey governor's race, Virginia governor's race, who's the mayor of New York City. Like, all of it is all coming down to this one vote that's moving 15, 20, 30 points.
I love that, Cliff. Mike always says that the Latino vote is the last true swing vote in America. Michael, underlaying all this is what you just said. All of this is going on. It could be the biggest political wave ever in America's history, but nobody loves the Democratic Party. Let's be real.
Right.
Like, this is happening.
That was why I brought up that part of it, Joe, the better messaging and the whatever, because our leadership sucks. And so I don't know, even if we could win 78 or whatever seats, will we take full advantage of it if we've got guys telling half stories with no protagonists, no emotion, and just like a chart on a wall?
Yeah, Cliff, that's the thing. Everything Mike's talking about could happen in an environment where the vast majority of the American people can't stand either party.
You're right. Which is crazy.
I would say that's likely, incidentally. And by the way, I would say that's what happened in 2024. I've been saying this, Joe. If people want to look at it and be like, oh, they're racist and misogynist, or they're, when you lose, everyone's like, it's existential and everyone is horrible. And then you win them back a few months later, and everyone's like, oh, see, we were right. And look, the Democrats made the same mistake that they're very likely to make this year in 2018. Donald Trump,
it's a pretty common mistake they make, I think, pretty constantly.
And it's not just the Democrats, it's the Republicans do the same damn thing. They made the same mistake after the 24 election, and it's the most obvious, basic, data-driven solution, and both parties refuse to see the obvious. Let me just tell your listeners real quick what the answer is.
Yeah.
Here's the big secret to building a permanent, or at least a generational majority in America. You need a multi-ethnic, multiracial, working class agenda.
Yep.
That's it, man.
Economically populist and accepting of all.
Yeah, you need it, and it's not that complicated. But both parties' heterodoxies don't allow for it. The Republican Party will never ever accept being a multiracial, multi-ethnic America. It's just too big part of the base won't do it. And on the left, the Democratic Party still believes it's the FDR party. Man, it hasn't been a working class party for 15 years.
Yeah, well, that's where the real thing. Obviously, I'll speak from the Democratic side. Is FDR was, wealthy as hell and still said, I welcome their hatred about all the CEOs and the monopolists and all those people. The Democrats would just stop with the kissing billionaire donor ass and look at some of these races where billions can't overcome the anger, the people willing to go, broken glass on fire in the atmosphere while someone's shooting fucking missiles at them, and they're willing to go vote. So, they need to start reflecting in their messaging and stop with this crap about, again, well, ICE, we need to get them to respect the Constitution. Donald Trump hasn't said that, but Donald Trump's never going to say anything you want him to say. ICE is never going to respect the Constitution. Start going after these people as the billionaire predators that they are. Combine that term, it makes people think of Epstein all the time. It allows you to go after private equity, tech, some of these other people that have preyed on people's mortgages, preyed on their pensions, preyed on, and I think it allows you to run a message that appeals to almost everybody against this cabal of right-wing perverted nuts.
That's and by the way, Mike, and Cliff's consistent. That would be his message to this group of people you're talking about, this multi-ethnic, multiracial, working class. What in your mind, Michael?
Can I say something else so quickly, Joe? That's the negative, because I would also give the positive of an agenda for them. Family and medical leave is supported by 85% of the fucking country. The fact that nobody in the Democratic side is scared to run on an issue of taking care of families and their children is crazy to me, right? Our healthcare system's a mess. I mean, there are numerous ways where they could run. And the one I told you that would be my favorite, the one I would do in a second. Everybody knows Congress insider trades, all this ridiculous stuff. Not only do you need to push on that front, but when Reagan changed the rule in '82 and made it so that you could buy back your own stock, before that it was considered stock manipulation, like, which CEO is not going to be like, hey, I've got lots of options in there. I think instead of paying workers more or R&D, I'm going to buy back our stock. Like, if they were to stand up on some issue like that, I think
Michael, respond to this. What is the message to this multi-ethnic, multiracial working class cohort?
So I think it was great I think what Cliff just did is a perfect setup, because the intensity is on the what we're against, the negative, negative, negative. And so I'm glad he did bring in the positive and what we stand for. But let me say this, and this is the lesson that I think Democrats haven't learned since the Reagan years. The working class does not believe government provides solutions. They don't. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't support family leave. You should, and all these issues and these programs. But don't think that that's top of mind, or that they believe that government's actually going to follow up with their actions and their activities. Most people that work in manufacturing or construction or agriculture, or actually, lunch bucket folks, they want you to get the fuck out of the way and quit messing with their industry and quit taking more of their dollars.
I think that could be a lot of your message to farmers, ranchers.
And it should be, and it can be, and it has to be a mix. It's not either or, man. It's got to stop with this red, blue, right, left. It's like the only way this country is going to move forward is when people have the courage and the balls to stand up and challenge their own parties. See, what I really hate about this moment is it's so easy to throw grenades at the other side and say, they're the problem, they're the problem, they're the problem. You're not moving any needles there. You're just cementing shit further into the ground. You know where you make change is when you say, here's where my party's screwed up. Why is it in a state that's as deep blue as California, it is the worst state in the nation to be a Latino resident? Economically, economic mobility, home ownership rates is the worst of any state in the union. 70% of our children, Latino children who graduate from a public high school, need remedial math and reading and a CSU. Okay, 50%, half of Latino children are on Medi-Cal. Those are poverty metrics.
Right.
Those are breakdowns of public institutions where government is failing, and this is a 2/3 majority state. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, man. I don't care about the fights anymore. I gave that shit up 10 years ago. What I fight for is people who need help. And I don't care if it's the free market, because sometimes that's exactly the way you should do it, or sometimes it's direct government intervention, because that's exactly the way it should be done. It's not either or. And until we start criticizing our parties, our respective parties for doing that, we'll move forward.
And Cliff,
I do that. A lot of that.
I'll set you up, Cliff Schechter. My former party guys they're a million miles away from that kind of self-reflective criticism. The Democrats should grab that.
Oh, I mean, again, it's so obvious. First of all, again, you don't look weak when you stand up and you apologize for something. You look strong.
Correct.
It looks like you have the confidence in yourself that you can say, I fucked up, and yet look at what I'm going to do. Secondly, I think what Mike said is really important, and the positive message to me, look, some of it still will come across. People will be like, oh, well, government would do that, and maybe they won't be a huge fan. But you don't come to them and say, we're going to pass this new program called, in the way, which is what Democrats do. You come in and you tell a story about somebody who maybe they could have lost a child because they didn't have leave. They could have had, gotten very sick, or, whatever it is. You tell the story, and then you go into the fact, like, do you think that when if a little girl is there, do you think when your mommy is sick, she should be able to stay home with you? Do you think that you should be able to have time to bond with your new child? Do you think, if you ask it and I would say, that's what we think and that's going to happen and we're going to make that. I mean, I think in the way you tell the story is some of that. There always will be some folks who are just like, I hear government, no, you know, and I agree with you, Mike, in that, like, I defend the Democratic Party or the part of it that I support, because to me, the Republican Party is a complete sort of amoral mass of Satan at this point. But
Mike,
the Democratic Party, I spend so much time, and Joe, and I'll let you do that, Joe, but Joe can tell you on this show, like, I go off on weak corporate ass Democrats who won't get populist and won't message all the time. We've failed, had so many opportunities and failed. So,
but everything Cliff just said, Mike. But do you guys agree with me, Mike? Start for the midterms. I think Democrats are going to take back the House without having to lift the finger. All they got to do is say Trump sucks, and maybe even the Senate. But I think post midterm, that's when they got to say, this is who the fuck we are.
Yeah, and they haven't done the homework.
Yeah.
And look, and that's my fear. They're going to win. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah, they're going to win, and it will staunch the bleeding. But if they don't have a positive agenda, which I don't think that they're going to be able to pull together, here's what's going to happen. The base will demand, the bigger the margin of victory, the demand will be to impeach Trump. The impeachment stuff will start, the fighting will start again, and then the public's going to go back to, here they go again. Neither of these guys are serious about governing. Nobody's talking about an agenda that actually is meaningful in any real way, and they're just back to doing what they're doing. And I do believe after a very big Democratic midterms, just like 2018, they will probably not make the corrections, just like 2019, and they will start to lose more middle-class voters, just like they did in 2020, despite the fact that they won the election. Joe Biden was the first president in 50 years to win an election and lose seats in the House. That's a sign. The voters are tuned in.
It's winnable and it's doable, and that's what's so upsetting about it. It's that it's like we choose this team of people that I mean,
not hard to do, man.
Marketing 101. Build a narrative structure. I mean, these are things.
Hey, you two jerks, I'm going to pull the former member of Congress card right now
and
change the subject.
Hail to the chief of something.
Change the because life is short and we only got me and Madrid for 8 more minutes.
Tequila.
I want to get into the topic of tequila.
Yeah.
And I want an overview from you, Mike Madrid.
Yeah.
When did you fall in love with tequila? When did you become expert on it? Give us the history.
I guess it's probably, I started drinking tequila in my 30s. It was really
late bloomer.
So like 10 years ago, you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I had that bad college experience with, cheap Cuervo got sick.
Everybody had
never wanted to touch it, right? And that's actually part of the story of what tequila is and why it was marketed that way. But when Patron kind of did its big thing with Patron Silver, it's like it was a reintroduction, a remarketing of what the tequila spirit was, and that was when I got really intrigued by it and started to learn the difference between the silvers and the añejos and the reposados and why they were made and how they came to be. And of course, I own a home in Puerto Vallarta down in Jalisco.
I had to say this quickly that I had some friends of mine who actually I worked with, I think it was 2 cycles ago, call me and like, we're staying at Mike Madrid's place. I guess you put it on the market, and they didn't know it until they got there and somehow.
That's why. Well, I gotta have the two of you down there. We'll do a live show down there. And I'll open up my private reserve because I have an amazing collection of mezcal.
Open up the private reserve, Cliff.
All right. See, we knew you were doing this show for a reason.
I have a tequila room at the house. But so what I did was, because of that region, it's kind of like Napa, Sonoma wine region. There's a tequila growing region with the varietals that are grown there. And I became really fascinated then going to the town of tequila and the tequila volcano, which is oversees this valley and this incredible, agave blue field for just forever. It's just the most extraordinary sight. And then the history of the spirit, right? This has become, it's not the only New World spirit, but it's the most famous one.
Yeah.
And it's the agave that was cooked and distilled. They used to make in the ancient days, the Aztecs called it pulque. And then what happened is you brought in New World technology, distilling techniques. And so it was New World technologies and Old World fruit, the agave, that created this new spirit. And the thing about tequila is it's kind of the one spirit that, makes you, jump up on the bar and sing and dance. Everything else kind of brings you down and makes you depressed, right? And so I as I started going through that, I'm sorry about the long wind up here, but
no, but this is good. We want this.
yeah.
And Mike, point in fact, you are actually writing a book about.
I'm writing a book. Yeah, the book is called For the Living and the Dead, and it's about the 200 year history of rivalry.
Cool.
It's the rivalry between the Jose Cuervo family and the Synovio Sauza family. Those are real families. Those are real people.
Like Sauza Gold here is that.
Yeah, that's the Sauza. Yeah, that's a real. The Sauzas are a family that have been growing agave since the 1850s. The Cuervos started in the late 1780s. Synovio Sauza, the patriarch, used to work for Jose Cuervo, and they had a falling out, and it became a rivalry.
It's a Hatfields and McCoys.
It's a Hatfields and McCoys. It's very much, and those regions, all those lands are not owned by just the two of them, but they own most of the land there. And so whether it's, you're drinking Tres Generaciones, which is 3 generations of Sauzas, almost all of the tequila names that you're reading have something to do with the family history. Most people don't realize that. They're just kind of brands, but most of them
I've been learning. That's been one of the best parts of this is because I knew I started to really like the drink, and I went through that experience again. I was 18 living in New York and getting to bars, and I somehow came up with the idea that I would have 18 shots of tequila for my don't do that, people. I think at 12 I picked up some money off a bar that wasn't mine, got thrown through the door, and have never done that since. But because I of course vomited, which I didn't do very often, I couldn't drink it for like 10 years after that. And I started slowly again, like with tequila sunrises and margaritas, whatever it might be that where I could have it. And then I came to the point where I just was like, I really like this, and I need to start getting the other ones.
My story, guys, is so basic. I was a vodka drinker until 8 years ago. I was under a lot of stress. I went into a doctor. He said, drink tequila. It's the best spirit for your gut.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
I've never. Now I'm even happier. All right,
Michael. It's something to do with the agave. He said it's exactly right. Gut spirit. It's good for your gut.
It started to be using as a medical elixir during the Spanish flu epidemic in 1918. Oh, wow. And that legacy has stayed with Mexican families forever, who they still like. Every little flu you have is a little bit of tequila and a little bit of lemon, and it kind of is a cure-all. But the agave spirit it's a very unique thing, including the drunkenness or the buzz you get is very different.
Hey Mike, what's your preference? Not in brand, but how do you best like to drink?
I like it silver, and I like it just straight to sip. Good tequila. I like it with a cold beer. Usually, I'll just have a taste of beer. But I'm not shooting anymore. Like I'm way past those days. You just have a cool glass, cold glass. I like it run over ice, and just drink it a silver. The reposados and añejos, they're aged in barrels from other spirits. That's how they get their color. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's your preference, that's fine. I just like it kind of a pure.
Hey, go ahead, Cliff.
I like the sound of the cold drinks and everything. Just was.
I'm not a
cold beer alongside of it. It just sounds delicious. Go ahead,
Michael. Just one technical question for the tequila lover who doesn't know anything about tequila. Silver. When we say silver, blanco silver is kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Sorry, it's the clear, no color. That's what the actual spirit. When I take you guys down to the Tequila Valley,
it's the second time he's said it. Go ahead.
Yeah, second time means he has to do it.
Yeah, no, I would love to. We'll go down to the actual distilleries, and you can see the actual process of how they cook the agave, because it's cooked. These big hearts, agave hearts, and you'll see the men with the
Mike, for the record, if you take Joe Walsh and Cliff Schechter down to that, what'd you call it? The tequila.
It's a distillery.
The distillery down there.
Where they're mixing it all up. Yeah.
The two of us are never coming back home.
I know.
This is no joke. If you guys, I would love to take you guys down this year and kind of go through the Tequila Valley with you and kind of walk you through some of the history.
Third time he's brought it up.
I don't see how it's not happening at this
point.
And we'll see that. Hey. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and it's an incredible spirit and a great history.
Where is it? Let me ask quickly, because I know you're going to say you got to go, Joe. Where is it exactly in Mexico?
It's in the state of Jalisco.
Jalisco.
But it's a little city named Tequila.
You have to
I want to live in a town called Tequila.
I know, like, I mean, that's a place to settle, is what that is.
And Madrid and I got a hop, but I'm going to say the same thing that I said when I introduced him. He is one of the smartest political minds I know. Man, stay informed. Follow Mike Madrid.
We have it right here, the greattransformation.substack.com. So you can go there. You go to Joe Walsh, of course, social contract.
I'll just yell. Follow Madrid.
Appreciate you guys.
For now, for now, let's stick it. We're on here every week. Go to Mike's brilliant analysis. If you want to really know what's going on with elections, again, big swing voter population, you need to know.
Mike Madrid, thank you. Cliff Schechter, thank you. Tequila Talk.
Tequila Talk, yes. Oh, you said it. Have a drink before you leave.
Bring us home, Cliff. Thanks, Michael.
I shall do it. Thanks, guys. I will. All right. And here we are alone. Do I have something to rant about today? I did kind of for our last couple of minutes here, but let's see what we got left. We didn't discuss Grand Plat there, but I'm not going to rant about that alone. I could rant about, $15 million of ribeye steak. I like, actually, my favorite part of the whole Hegseth list is the 139,224 on donuts. They couldn't quite make 140,000. What did they leave out of there? Jelly donuts, definitely. That's how they kept it so cheap. Alaskan king crab. I like the $26,000 sushi preparation tables. That's pretty cool, as opposed to sushi or something like that. Anything else? 26,000 custom flute from Japan. Is that's in this? Nice. I felt like there was a really actually other fun one here. Ooh, $10,000 on toilet seat covers for C-17 planes. Now, you know why they did that? Because RFK Jr. goes in them sometimes, and he wants to snort tequila. Wants to snort cocaine. God, I'm stepping on my own jokes. So if you want to stop RFK Jr. from snorting cocaine, you put the toilet seat covers on. So that 10,000, I think, is actually justified. I don't have the kind of huge rant to go off on. I went off on the school last week. I'm sort of tempted to when it comes to some, obviously, are knowing the Russians and Chinese. Russians particularly are targeting us. Of course, Trump's still like best buddies. I could even talk about the ship that was sunk. I think I did a lot of that earlier. The sickening, just the thing that as a human, it would never go through your mind when you're deciding to blow this ship out of the water with people on there that you know nothing about. You don't know their life stories. They've never done anything to you. They may have been forced into the military for all you know. And you just murder them. You just blow them away because you think it's fun. It's a fucking video game. That's Hegseth, scumbag who had to settle a sexual assault case in Donald Trump, who allegedly and quite likely is a child rapist, as we're finding out more. What do you guys in the comments have as Homer Simpson? Donuts. There you go, Jim. 139,000. You think Homer ever spent that this is what they actually spent in a couple days, these totals. So that's a lot of fucking donuts, man. And Hegseth, as much as he's a jackass, looks like he keeps in decent shape. I have a feeling that Donut Don was busy putting those away. Cynthia, the food was for soldiers. They always get a good meal before being deployed. That's not actually entirely the truth. The part about them always getting a good meal beforehand is true. But a whole lot of this money, in fact, more than has ever been spent in the history of the United States of America, was spent in the last couple of days because it was sitting there. And at that point, it wasn't for that, because there was a grand piano that was bought. There was these flutes. There was these other things like that. Those were not for soldiers. And there was much more spent when I compared it to the Biden administration. They broke the 7 million, I think it was, on lobster on like 4 occasions. They did like 4 days in a row or whatever it was. Biden had done that once. It is not apples to apples. These guys had money sitting there at the very end, and they chose to use it specifically on certain stuff for some of them. So they can't get out of it with just the soldier thing. What else do we have? I hope they did go to the soldiers. My guess is some of it did. Deborah Cornett. Hey, Cliff, you're as fantastic as ever. Thank you. You know what you can do that would be just fantabulous if you really think that, Deborah? please go and join our Substack at Blue Amp. There's something else I wrote in there earlier, and which was, let's get this started, as I usually do, and I did not send it out. Blueamp.co. You can become one for free. There's a 50% off sale. You can help support us. That is all greatly, greatly appreciated, because, for some reason, we don't just get paid like a universal income to do this, which I think is, unfair, but, who's listening to me? Hey, look, there's Joe Walsh. He's still he may still be listening in the background. Hi, Joe. He even is pushing my, well, now I've got to push the social contract, that bastard, because he's not getting away with, that. So I need to look up the exact link and not just give you social contract. Social. And then actually what's cool is he's starting a live, Joe is, with all of his, hearing myself. Joe is starting a live soon with his paid folks. So guess what? You can go in there and become a paid supporter of Joe Walsh, the great Joe Walsh. Not the one that wrote Life's Been Good to Me So Far, fantastic song, but still a fantastic guy, and he's doing a lot for America, and I appreciate it. There you go. That should work, I think. And if there's too much shit in there, then you'll find it anyhow. Thanks for mentioning me, Cliff. Deborah, of course. Say nice things about me. No, I'm not Donald Trump. I just happened to catch that, and I really appreciate it. And that's why with all folks who, are nice enough to comment, on here, or nice enough to comment, whether it's in, the respond to various posts that we put up on Substack or videos, I try to sort of let you know where to find us. Because if you do love us, blueamp.co, you can join folks and see us more often, which we would love. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had such a good time tonight. I wasn't in an angry mood. And maybe that's good. There's no rant at the end here, but just talk about general stuff, right? And the fact that, it was great to have Mike Madrid on. We were able to add the whole aspect of somebody who really is sort of keyed in on Latino politics, which was great, because it's going to be such an important factor coming up this year. And all these great, all these great results, again, plus 15. We've won in plus 16 seats too. So the math I was doing before, if we can, I think all of us need to push our Democratic representatives and say to them, we need leadership that speaks out, that fights, that develops a narrative about who the other side is, billionaire predators, and how they attack and destroy us. Jeffrey Epstein, private equity, tech bros taking subsidies while cutting your snap. I mean, you let people know what they're losing because of what these guys are taking. And then we could see a result. But why we're not aggressively on offense, not to mention the unconstitutional war and the unconstitutional ICE murder or murders. There's plenty of this. This is just not, it's what frustrates me, because it makes me think the fix is in sometimes with our leadership, that they've been placated by certain, wealthy donors, and they won't just run, because you jump out. You want to unite the disparate groups that right now could be united around a Democratic Party. I mentioned before, family and medical leave, 85% popularity. You're getting most people in there. Universal health care is well over 70. You could even offer a single payer, multi-payer variety of plans, as long as it's guaranteed 100% that folks are being taken care of. My point is simply an economic populist agenda that goes after the manipulators, that goes after the billionaires, the predators, the monopolists, these monopoly companies that rip us all off and don't compete with each other and destroy our communities and pay workers like crap because they're monopolies. It's the easiest campaign in the world if they just would take the damn shackles off and do it. As Jim Williams just said, because he's smarter than me, save the date, folks. I have to ask Mike Madrid still, but we are doing not 18. I almost got that wrong. We were doing a 12-hour live stream a year ago. When I kicked off my Substack, I did a 12-hour one. Got some great folks on. Heather Cox Richardson came on, Mehdi Hassan, some other folks, Aaron Rupar, And a friend of mine from some political work, Phil Collin, plays guitar for Def Leppard and played Pour Some Sugar on Me, which was an amazing moment, at least for me. This year, we decided to do it again, but we have a theme. It's coming up this Wednesday, March 18th. And it's going to be a very simple message to the Trump administration, which is we're having the fucking midterms. You are not stealing our elections, because that's the only way he knows he can still win. And we've got John Tester coming on, which I'm incredibly excited about, with his partner from the Grounded podcast, Maritza Georgiou. I think I'm pronouncing your name right. We got Lev Parnas coming on. We got Brian Karam coming on. We got Steve Schmidt. We got Joe Walsh. We got Malcolm Nance. We got Julie Rudinsky. We got Olga Lautman. We got Rachel Bidikofer. We got Wajahat Ali. I'm forgetting people. I know it. We got Reed Galen. We got, who the hell am I missing? Miles Taylor. How can I forget Miles? It is going to be a great group, 12 hours, and helping me, because I need to kind of help. And be two people I know you guys love. David Schuster, former Emmy-winning anchor at MSNBC, and Ellie Leonard, the scourge of the Epstein files, who's become huge on this platform of Substack by going after and really putting the work in that corporate media won't. So those two guys, because she's a contributor, and so is David to Blue Amp, are going to be joining me. We'll each be doing some interviews, but I think I covered a lot of the folks in there. There's a few more we're kind of in the process of booking right now. I forgot Glenn Kirshner. Look at that. I'm sorry. Chris Matthews. Remember him? He'll be on. Who else do we? I don't know. Well, we may not have anybody. I know 4 or 5 people that have told me they're coming on, but I'm not going to say people if we do not have a definitive time, because it could not happen. But there you go. So save the date, March 18th, 11 a.m. Steve Schmidt is kicking it off with me, and I will be closing it down at 11 p.m. We're also having Bill Corbett of Mystery Science Theater, Chris Cluey, the kicker who broke the records for the Minnesota Vikings as a punter, but believed in gay rights. So, of course, this is 15 years ago. The NFL went after him and he wrote hilarious articles for Deadspin and a book about it. And now, went home to Huntington Beach, California, which is a conservative little town, and they put up a plaque to honor Trump in a public library. And he was like, this is bullshit. You can't do this. And protested, and they arrested him. And now Chris, the Renaissance man he is, record-holding punter and bassist in a rock band before, and writer of books and columns and activist, is now running for state rep in California. So that should be a ton of fun, just as Lev Parnas is running for the House. And that's pretty much the story. There'll be more people because, as I said, there's a few more who have not 100% given their go yet. So I don't want to say their names without knowing they're going to be there. But gosh, this is going to be freaking fun as shite. So listen, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of Tequila Talk. I mean, this show has been growing bigger and bigger, and I can't tell you how gratified I am when I come up with the concept, because it's fun. I love it. It's like we can mix politics with and find a way to get from tequila to politics, back to tequila, talk about something else, another passion of ours, something we love, and laugh and have a good time, and hopefully get you ready so that you've gotten through happy hour and you're saying to yourself, all right, I just had a great time watching this show. I just need to get through Friday now, and they're helping boost me through Friday so I get to the weekend. Lisa Hopo, is it? I will say thank you very much for. It's a great lineup. Yep, our lineup is pretty awesome. We'll be putting out more details as they come along for March 18th, when we tell the Trump guys, nah. So that's it. Please subscribe, blueamp.co. Also at YouTube, at Cliffs_Edge. Put that in here too, because we're going to start making more videos again soon. It's just been tough. You got to hire people, and they have to work out. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to go into that. But I think, my friends, we've reached that stage. So listen, thank you for watching. Thanks for being a part of it. Thank you to Lawrence Winterman for producing this. Thank you to Joe Walsh, my co-anchor here, for just always being awesome. And thank you to Mike Madrid, who's a fantastic guy. And I'd never met before, but now apparently I'm going to be touring Mexico to go try out tequila at various distilleries with. Doesn't get better than that. So that's it, folks. I'm out of here. As the sun sets slowly in the west,